Hello and welcome to Short Scary Stories, Episode 5. This video will be a little bit different. It's going to be mostly Reddit stories that I got from people on Reddit. This story is from Nostalgic Winters 98 on Reddit on Let's Not Meet. So I'd like to start out with saying thank you for everybody that allowed me to read your stories, and I hope you enjoy. Close Encounter. The year was 1999. I was 11 that fall, and it was summertime. For Christmas, my parents got me this cool blue boombox. It was awesome. I started listening to music on my own and getting CDs from friends. I had to use money that I had earned to buy CDs from Coconuts, which is before FYE. I could be wrong, but that's where we got music at the time. I had brought it with me to my dad's friend's house and put some D batteries in it. We listened to the radio while a bunch of us kids swam and did whatever. My dad's friend Dave lived about 10 minutes away in the country. He had built a house and had an in-ground pool. My dad, he was a drunk, and he got sloppy drunk at this party. And I was good friends with Dave's son Scott. So I talked him into spending the night, and he was on board. Scott was a few years older than me, and he was cool. So he grabbed some CDs, and my dad drove us home blitzed out of his mind. My dad drove a robin's egg blue Chevy pickup at the time, and Scott and I were in the back of the truck with my boombox. It is when I heard Limp Bizkit, Korn, and Godsmack for the first time, because Scott wasn't very interested in my Blink-182 album. So we were driving through the backcountry roads, which are all now developed subdivisions, and there are seldom streetlights anywhere at the time, so it's dark. It's summertime and we are rocking it out to Limp Bizkit. My dad approaches a four-way intersection, which there are no lights anywhere except for our headlights. One car passes us as Scott starts telling me about what light pollution is. There is a factory/plant not far from where we were. We also had no idea my dad had passed out at the stop sign. We sat there as this flash of orange light lit up the whole street, and we looked up and there was this large circular orange light above us. You could make out a V-shaped outline and some smaller yellowish orange lights on the wings. It was high above us at first, maybe 80 feet. At one point I sat there making no noise and the boombox kept playing, and Scott looked at me and said, "Is that an effing UFO?" I yelled, "Woo!" like Ric Flair. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I never shared the experience like that with anyone, and our screams woke up my dad. He saw the craft as well and peeled out. It kept pace with us for a bit before ascending up and out of sight. We couldn't sleep that night, so we stayed up drinking soda, watching some wrestling, and surfing the web looking at UFOs. My dad asked us about it in the morning, and he asked us what we saw. He told us to keep it to ourselves because he saw something once and he was our age, and no one believed him, and it was something that he remembered painful because his brother never let him forget about it. But this was cool, just two friends rocking out, seeing something they can't explain. The Bad Feeling Saved My Life by Responsible Carpet 43. Hello, my name is Christopher. I am a high school student in my first year, so I'm 16 years old. This story took place during the second week of Easter vacation in 2023, when I was 15. I want to mention that it happened at my mother's house. At the time, my mother had decided to renovate the kitchen because it was really outdated. So there was this blonde guy with blue eyes who came to start the work, which involved putting plastic sheets on the walls and dividing in the living room, which is next to the kitchen. At the end of the day, I had to go pick up a dental impression, and my mother had informed the worker that we'd be back in an hour and a half. However, since the appointment was just to pick up an item, we returned only 45 minutes later. On our way back, my mother suggested we pick up kebabs and do a good deed by dropping the worker off at the train station. When I returned to offer him a ride to the station, I noticed he was very uneasy and smiling nervously, as if to say everything was fine. I insisted that he come with us, and he agreed. Along the way, he explained that his name was Brian. I'm changing his name for anonymity, and that he was originally from Moldova, and he mentioned that he lived alone in Paris, but had 2 children living in his house in the country. We arrived at the station and dropped him off, grabbing our kebabs, and went home. After finishing eating, I decided to take a bath, as I love doing this all the time. However, this time to my dismay, the water turned from hot to cold. So I spent 2 hours in lukewarm water, got out and returned upstairs to my room. Immediately upon opening the door, I noticed that my PC was open and turned on to my lock screen's wallpaper, even though I distinctly remember closing it down before going downstairs for my bath. I asked my mom if she had been in my room or touched my PC, and she said no, that she had stayed in her room watching the news. After a quick search of my room turned up nothing, I decided to finally go to sleep at 5 a.m. I woke up sweating and shivering intensely, which had never happened to me before. I had a feeling of danger and that there was something or someone nearby. So I grabbed a knife because yes, it's a bit scary, but I have a passion for edged weapons, probably from manga, and I have a collection of knives, katanas, and shurikens on my walls of my bedroom. So with the knife, I searched my room again, but found nothing. However, the feeling didn't go away, so I locked my door and messaged my mother to see if she had the same feeling, but she didn't respond. I waited 3 hours until I heard her walking in her room. She came to see me, and I explained what had happened that night. She told me I was probably just being paranoid and that everything was fine. She also warned me that Brian would be arriving at 10 a.m. to continue work on the house. Since she would be leaving for work, I would be alone with him, and she told me that I wouldn't need to go downstairs to let him in, because she told him she kept the key in the woodshed next to the house. She then went to work, and I went back to sleep, locking my door. I woke up at 11:30 and went downstairs to make food in the basement, because the kitchen was under construction, and I didn't find Brian there. I didn't think much of it. I went back upstairs and I ran into him. As soon as I saw him, that bad feeling returned, and he started talking to me. I tried to end the conversation quickly and went back to my room and locked the door. 10 minutes later, Brian knocked on my door asking for help carrying something. I didn't respond because I really didn't want to see him again. He started trying to open my door, and he began kicking it hard. So my first instinct was to grab a knife and lock myself in my bathroom, which is in my room, and I called the police. I explained in a panic what was happening to the woman on the line, and she said she was sending 2 cars which would arrive in about 10 minutes. While waiting, Brian managed to enter my room and began breaking down the bathroom door. I told him I had called the police, and then they would be arriving any minute. I was armed with a knife, and that I wouldn't hesitate to use it. Upon hearing this, he had stopped banging on the door and left. The police arrived and caught Brian as he was trying to flee. My mother immediately came home and saw me and burst into tears, telling me she should have listened to me. A few days later, the police called to explain that Brian was wanted for kidnapping, identity theft, torture, and murder. I believe that bad feeling I had during the night was him returning and hiding outside my room in the house because he knew where the spare key was hidden. But now he's in prison, and I hope I never see him again. I am also thankful for my weird passion for knives, because I don't know if Brian would have left if I hadn't mentioned it, and especially thanks to the police who arrived so quickly and caught him. Weird Hunters by the Amazing Weeb on Creepy Encounters on Reddit. I don't know if this is weird enough, but I thought I'd try anyways. I'm at my parents' house for the summer. All the lights were off, and the cars were missing from the driveway, despite 4 people in the house. It's 7:30 in the night. It's raining. A black truck pulls up in the driveway. A young guy in normal clothes, black hoodie and sweatpants, knocks on the door. My little sister 8 answers the door, with our big dog barking upstairs. They ask 3 things. Are your parents home? Can we hunt the deer that are on your property? Do your parents want to go hunting with us? She says yes, our parents are home, and goes and gets our dad. The weird thing is that there are no deer even on our land. It's not even deer season. My dad comes down to talk to them, and they switch up their story. Now they're saying that they want to hunt wild turkeys on our property. We do have turkeys sometimes wandering around our property, but not today. They told their dad about all the guns they had in their truck, and that there were many that told them they could come from Alabama to hunt here. They asked us if they could hunt on what's clearly our neighbor's property, but my dad sent them away. They drove past our house a couple more times after that. I don't know if this is that strange in New England, but where I come from it definitely is. Also, it could just be my theater mind being overly dramatic, like it always is. But I thought I might give it a shot. In worst case, I write a cool horror story based off this encounter later. Thank you so much for everyone that shared their stories with me. I am truly grateful for your words and opportunity to bring them to life for you. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Your support means the world to me. Thank you very much. And don't forget, don't shoot the messenger.